unforced errors tonight. Is that something that maybe is indicative of the first time you played here? Just trying to get used to the court?
Yeah, you know, also, you know, I played a tournament, you know, about 9 or 10 days ago, and it's your first match, and you have a tough opponent, you know, completely different conditions than you're used to, and, you know, it started off the match really muggy, and, you know, just felt like a lot of the balls from, you know, both my side and her were just flying, and, you know, I just kind of try to get control of everything, you know, from the ground strokes to the serves, and, you know, sometimes I felt like I got a little unlucky and somewhere pretty close, so it's just a matter of, you know, kind of staying consistent and, you know, just really focusing on, you know, what I had to do, you know, instead of the forced error.
The guys usually say that this court plays faster, you know, than either Toronto or Montreal, because usually they're coming here after that.
Right.
Do you kind of agree with that assessment? Is it really one of the faster courts you play on?
Yeah, it's I think the ball is pretty light. I don't think the court itself is, you know, super fast. I think it's pretty average, but since the balls are really light, it goes through the air, almost like we're playing at altitude a little bit, and jumps pretty high. You know, so, you know, especially against her, that's tough because she has so much spin on the ball. So I think in the beginning, I was just trying to adjust to that, and I was having a little bit of trouble.
Maria, when did you realize that maybe she was a little bit hindered?
You know, when you're out there playing, you really worry about, you know, yourself and just trying to win the match.
Maria, you took the heat index break between the second and third sets. You talked about how it affected your game, but physically, how was the heat hitting you at that point?
I mean, I definitely felt fresher after I came back from that break. You know, it's good that it's in place because it's quite important. Even though we're playing a night match, you know, everyone in the stands has some sort of, you know, fan or something waving to make themselves, you know, cooler. And you know, it's pretty crazy to think that even at a night match that, you know, the fans have to do that. So so it's, you know, it's something that we have to adjust to. You know, we're not used to playing night match and, you know, sweating a lot and you know, playing a long point and getting ready to serve or return on a big point. And you know, those are kind of the little things that I had to adjust to there.
Maria, you hit 11 double faults today, and you've been sort of hitting more double faults recently over the last year or so. How have you been able to shake off what must be a frustrating part of your game right now so effectively to still come away with wins?
To be honest, I'm actually, you know, serving a lot better than I did last year's summer. I'm hitting bigger serves, and you know, maybe I'm missing a few more first and a few more second serves, but you know, I'm not hitting second serve 70 miles per hour. You know, I'd rather I'm going to win tournaments by, you know, going for my shots, whether it's off the ground strokes and playing my game around the serve rather than, you know, waiting for my opponents to miss and, you know, maybe not making as many unforced errors. It's not my game.
Does that confidence come from your shoulder feeling better? Is that directly related?
Yeah, I mean, you know, if I'm doing the right thing, and I mean, you know, today maybe I was certainly making a lot more errors of everything, off the return, you know, of my forehands and backhands. I mean, I definitely have to cut down on that. But if I stick to doing the right things and not, you know, going in different directions, that's sooner or later, you know, going to come back.
In your first game in the second set, first service game, you get 2 double faults and 2 unforced errors. You got broken in love. Was that a case of being maybe too aggressive?
Sloppy. Yeah. And when the first set, I played a good game, you know, to break her, then get the set, and you know, come out and, you know, didn't play the first game aggressive, and you know, there's little things here and there, and all of a sudden it's, you know, tennis is a lot about momentum.
Sure.
And you're playing against a tough opponent, certainly one that has a lot of experience, and you give her a little, you know, fresh breath of air, and there's no doubt that she's going to take it.
Sure.
What
is the last? Do you remember the last time you played in this type of heat?
It's not so much the heat. I think it's more the humidity. You know, just muggy. But I mean, probably Australia. But the good thing about Australia is you have those days in between where recover. This is an event where you know, for someone that's not seated. Well, I am actually. Wait, I am. I don't have a bye. We play 6 matches in 7 days. So yeah, it's you know, it's one of those things, but everyone has to go through it, and we all have to adjust, and that's the way it is. You know, sometimes you have to think the Grand Slams are almost a bit easier. You have that day in between to recover and rest to get your body ready.
You said that in the second set she came on a lot stronger. What was your mindset at the beginning of the third set then, to trying to change the momentum?
Just be aggressive. You know, I feel like I let her off the hook in the beginning of the second set, and she went with it. And like I said, against a player that has a lot of experience, you can't do that. And she's not going to give it back to you. You have to earn it back. And you know, the only way I was going to get that back was by being aggressive.
What are you most pleased about in your game tonight in terms of the things you did well?
I think I played some of the important points well. You know, I took my break point opportunities, and you know, on days when you don't feel like your game is where you want it to be, you know, you try to look at the positives, and I feel like on some of the important points, you know, I got through them, and you know, the good things, I got through the match, and you know, you have another one ahead of you.
You've won a lot of tough matches, obviously, at tournaments, at the Grand Slams, without on-court coaching and these WTA events with it. How does it change the match, do you think? And what, so when you talk to Michael when he comes out, what does he talk to you about? And is it ever helpful? Is it not helpful? What's that like for you?
It's more words of encouragement than anything else. It's not like, you know, the coaches, I mean, certainly not for me. I'm not going to start telling me to change something technically. You know, sometimes you see a little bit different from an outside perspective of what's going on, of a few mistakes that you're making, the patterns that you're doing a bit wrong. But it's actually pretty straightforward. It's more to, you know, to get yourself going than anything else. There's not much that if you can't play on your own and try to figure out tactics and all those things on your own, then you know, at the Grand Slams, like you said, it's going to be pretty tough to do it on your own.
I believe your father's still listed as your official coach, even though Michael's doing most of the traveling with you. Do you plan on changing that, or is that just sort of, what's the situation there? On the WTA website or something like that.
I'm going to change that. Yeah, I guess I've been traveling for like a year and a half. I don't know why it's on there. I mean, my dad is still, you know, a big part of my tennis career. And, you know, during the off season or in my practices when I'm home, he's probably 50% of the time he's there and just on the court. And, you know, he has a few pointers. And it's great to have him because, you know, I was used to having him travel all the time. And you know, there's no one like him that knows me as best as he does, you know, from my mistakes and my attitude and, you know, the way to get me going and to get my intensity up. So it's always fun to have him. But Michael has, you know, definitely taken that role, you know, for him.
After taking 4 weeks off after Wimbledon, you came back and only played one World Tennis event, but you still made it to the semifinals at Stanford. How did you accomplish that?
There's an error in your question because I made it to the finals of Stanford. But that's okay. We all make mistakes. I made plenty of them today. Yeah, you know, after I was on the road, you know, before I played the French Open, until after Wimbledon, I was on the road for about, you know, 10 weeks. So I definitely needed some time off and to recharge my batteries and, you know, to get back to the roots and get it back on the practice court. And it's always important before that last, you know, hard court season to you know, to work on the few things that you feel like you need to work on and yeah, and get ready for the summer tour. But
to follow that up, you didn't do that much. You had all that time off, and then you come back so strong, though, so quickly.
I mean, I had some tough matches over there, and you know, I had tough opponents in Stanford, and you know, some that I had lost to in my previous matches. So it was you know, really important to. I mean, in all these tournaments, you really got to be ready from the first match. You know, we have no easy opponents now. You got to be ready. I mean, you know, playing Kuznetsova in the first round is not. You know, unfortunately, she wasn't seeded here, so it was, you know, unfortunate that we had to play. Usually, it's a match that maybe we play in the quarters or semis or finals. So, you know, like I said, every tournament you've got to be ready from the get-go.